Hello and welcome to pmplounge.com. Today we are looking into certain examples from project scope and product scope. In one of our previous videos, we went over the types of scope, right? We did an overview of scope management, and that's where we discussed what is project scope and what is product scope. Now, today we'll look into certain instances and try to see if that instance falls into project scope or product scope. So let's get started. This is definitely going to be a very helpful video for you to kind of differentiate between both the project scope and the product scope. So let's get started. So what you need to find out is if it is a project or product scope that we are talking about here. So number one is users should be able to log in on the website. What do you think? Is that sentence, right? Is this sentence, is this a scope of the project or is this the scope of the product? Users should be able to log in on the website. Now, of course, they're talking about website. They're talking about the end product of the project. This is, of course, product scope, right? Remember, we discussed how product scope was all about the product. It has nothing to do with how you're going to achieve it, how users are going to log in, right? When you talk about that, that's when you're talking about project scope. But just plain vanilla sentence like users should be able to log in on the website, that falls in a requirement for product. That is a product scope. Cross browsers testing. Now this website should be compatible with all the browsers. So when you do testing, when you're testing, right, when you do the cross browsers testing, you test for Opera, you test for Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome. When you're doing this testing, you are actually working on project scope, right? You are doing testing, you're doing an activity which is part of the project. Website users should be able to share articles on Facebook. Again, unlike the previous one, unlike the previous instance, right, where we said that cross browsers testing need to be done, right? We pointed out at cross browsers testing. We are actually doing something. This instance, which says website users should be able to share articles on Facebook, does not point to any particular project scope, right? It only points to a certain functionality of the website where the users should be able to share articles from the website on Facebook, right? On social media platform Facebook. So this is product scope. We are not talking about how you're going to achieve it, what kind of programming you would need, right? What kind of plugin you need. We're not talking about that. We are simply giving you an instance, a sentence that talks about the product, and thus this instance is talking about product scope. Website background should be white. Again, we are not talking about how you're going to achieve this. We are just telling you something that which is a functional requirement, which is basically a requirement, a cosmetic requirement, that the background color of the website should be white. This is, of course, product scope. Website should be compatible with all browsers. Again, this is product scope. When we did testing to make sure that the website is indeed compatible with all the browsers, that is when we were talking about project scope. That is when we were doing the actual work. This, when we say that website should be compatible with all browsers, we are not dealing with how you're going to achieve it. We are only giving the project manager a requirement that website should be compatible with all browsers. Website is the product. This is, of course, product scope. HTML5 programming. Now we are talking about doing the work. Of course, this is project scope. If you require you are required to learn HTML5, if you are required to develop the website, using HTML5 programming. When you're doing HTML5 programming, you are talking about project scope. You're not talking about the product anymore. You're talking about the details of how you're going to make the product. And that is why this is project scope. If you were not able to follow anything in this video, you don't have to panic. Just go to the description of this video and look into our previous video on scope management, and you will be able to kind of go through the definitions of project scope and product scope and get an overview of scope management in general, and then come back to this video, try to answer these questions, and it will be much more clear to you on what exactly is the difference between project scope and product scope. So that's all that we had in this video. Hope you learned product scope and project scope and the difference between them. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and check us out on our social media, facebook.com/pmblounge and twitter.com/pmblounge. And as always, do check out the website pmblounge.com, your number one free resource for PMP certification and project management industry information. Thank you.